Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Meditation a Day. We are the first Monday of the month. We have Master Spiritual Teacher here, GP Walsh. Hello.
Well,
ah, and myself here, Lisa Berry, hosting, and we'll step away whilst GP does a beautiful meditation. But let's first introduce the subject and the theme for today's meditation. And what I thought would be just lovely is I've received quite a few invitations for gathering meditations, just like how EWN does this here. And that we always mention the power and the strength and the connection when we all come together to meditate together. And this got me thinking, if we can feel that when we come together, things are higher vibe and strengthened and broad and expanded, that would imply to me that we can therefore then feel a separation when we're not. And then I got confused because I thought, well, if we're not two, how do we feel that separation in the first place to feel it, that power of coming together? So my theme is connection today.
very good. Very good, especially considering that the number one cause of trauma is disconnection.
Yes.
And we human beings need to be together. We don't want to make the whole we are one, the whole non-dual thing, not two, an abstraction. And let's just experience life as it actually is, right? There are times in the solitude when there's just an enormous expansion of consciousness and heart and experience and insight, right? And it's also true that in groups, you get a different level of energy there. It's not that one is better or worse than the others. To say, oh, that's high vibe in that environment. No, it's just that's the characteristic of that environment. I mean, when you consider that the human body is nothing but a collection of a bunch of beings that got together,
Yes. Yeah.
that makes this whole thing up. You go, oh yeah, I guess cool things do happen when people get together.
Right.
So you can tell, and you can tell at different levels. If I speak to a small group of people, 4 or 5 people, really up to about 10 or 12, you're speaking to individuals. There's a certain point where it gets like 20 and more, where you're speaking to one. There's something syncs up and everybody kind of gets on the same page, and there's just a vibe that takes place. And you can even tell, I can pick out people in the audience who aren't in the vibe. They're kind of been left out, or they're not all there. You can feel it. And that's why things like retreats and group meditation are so very powerful, because they enhance it for each other. And we really need that. We really need that. It's only the one who's completely arrived at the ultimate awakening that is self-sustained like that. But even they will experience that same thing. They just don't need it the way the rest of us do.
Oh, wow. I need to be able to go to so many places there. So I want to then, I guess, the connection. I want to change my word now to syncing up when because if I look back to grade school, and it's like activity day or it's gym. Now we're all going to play ball, but we were all, thinking all the really intellectual people are like, oh, I don't want to do that group activity playing ball thing. But then the other people are like, we got to go back to math. And there's like this, this energy that just isn't quite syncing up. And is that our personal? Well, see, then I'm going to divide again. Is that our individual frequency, our personal vibe?
Sometimes it's just very natural. You don't sync up with those folks, and other times it's people that are just inhibited. It's different, and they're afraid to be in that. They want to, being solitary and in solitude is very different than avoiding people.
Right. Yes.
And people can feel very alone in groups and the like. So it isn't the actual circumstances that dictate it. It's what's going on inside somebody when they make the choices that they do. And if somebody has been, traumatized to a certain degree, making connections, syncing up with others is going to be difficult because they're going to be afraid of it.
Right. And I think that would be a lovely place to do a self-inquiry or meditation on those words. How can we understand better where we're being inhibited or where we are embracing solitude, and how we can sync up with, I guess, ourselves, even just to have that look around, that self-inquiry, that looking
Well,
around.
that's what self-inquiry meditation, insight meditation is about. It's about finding the Buddha within.
Right.
And to do that, we have to separate the stuff that is just there out of, it's just our armoring from self-protection due to various things that happen to us, and kind of dig down till you get to the gold, which is, well, who am I actually? Who am I without all the conditioning and all these other stuff that seems so very powerful and deep? That takes the whole question of who am I to a different level. It's no longer who's the Buddha or who's Christ. It's who am I?
Right.
That because they live in us.
Yes, exactly. Beautiful. Well, then I would love to invite everyone with us here today. Thank you so much for being a part of a meditation today, and thank you for having us into your world. And I'll let GP take us through a guided meditation, whatever comes up for him.
Yes, I make no promise of sticking with the subject.
That's right.
But you knew that. All righty. Close your eyes and make this a sacred moment. A sacred moment with yourself. For a moment, you can tell your mind, yes, I know we have a lot of things to do, but I'm just going to step away here for 10 minutes. And when I come back, I'll be refreshed and I'll do things better. So I'm just going to be here and give this my exclusive attention. Be present with myself, like I would be with someone I loved. And let your attention simply sink into your body, noticing whatever you're feeling. If your attention is very scattered right now and is having a hard time relaxed, just take a couple of deep breaths. Slow yourself down a bit and really feel the air going in. This amazing process that's going on all the time that literally sustains our lives. A few minutes without it and everything falls apart. So we get to witness this pulse of life, which is the pulse of your life. And that some mysterious force just keeps it going, whether we're aware of it or not. Now feel into your body. Notice all the different body parts. Your chest, you can kind of feel your heart. There's like a presence there. Your back, your neck, your knees. If you really concentrate, you can feel some of your internal organs. Even though there's no nerves there, there's like a presence there. And all of those are made up of these tiny living beings called cells that are, strictly speaking, single-celled animals. And notice how every single cell in your body is connected to every other single cell in your body. It is one giant internet connection between everything. It is a dance of innumerable beings, trillions of beings, that all swirl up into this one extremely well organized and well orchestrated thing we call our body. Just appreciate the sheer magnitude and complexity of it. And yet it operates so effortlessly. There are thousands of processes going on right now, and your body is absolutely silent. Just unthinkable amount of things happening and making no noise about it. Now, something in those cells over millions and millions of years, something brought all of those together. The single cells started to group, and then group more, and then the groups grouped with other groups, and then those groups grouped. And on it went until you had tiny multi-celled animals, and then larger ones, and larger ones, and larger ones. What brought them all together I call love. Science may have a different name for it, but I call it love. Something inherent in the nature of the universe itself pulls things together. Now imagine you are a cell, and there's a mysterious force that pulls you towards other cells to make critters even more grand. Communities, sanghas, churches, countries, planets. This need for connection is inherent in life. Now, when you think of yourself connecting up, walking into a group of people you don't know, what kind of feeling does that provoke in you? One of excitement, anticipation, one of dread, desire to pull back. Is the idea of being deeply bonded in various forms of loving engagement seem distant or difficult or frightening? If so, just spend a moment and be with that feeling. And if there's nothing but excitement and wonder, well, spend a moment and be with that as well. Just notice the inner drive for deep connection and any kind of resistance that may come up about it. Maybe memories of the past where connections have thought they were there and then they weren't, or they were there for a while and then gone. And then remember that even the body, it's not the same cells every day. It's constantly turning over, constantly changing. This one beautifully functioning body is forever replenishing itself. The body you had yesterday is not the same body you had today. And all of our relationships, our need for connection is just the love part of us. The wisdom part of us recognizes that everything is always changing. It needs to change in order to remain alive. So we'll be always moving in and out, in and out. Relationships will come and go. That doesn't mean that there can't be relationships that last a lifetime, but that's a lifetime, and you go beyond lifetimes. So cherish this most essential human need for connection, for syncing up, for feeling that intimacy in which you can be yourself, where you are free. This is a law of the universe. It is a essential manifestation simply of the guiding principle of all existence, which is love. Compassion and love unites us, while wisdom shuffles the deck. This desire for connection is the manifestation of our deepest desire, which is to be one with the truth of ourselves, to know ourselves as we are, to be completely in raptured love with yourself, which doesn't exclude anyone or anything. This is the theme that plays itself out over and over and over and over. So open your heart right this moment to whatever you can open it to. Maybe there's someone in your life who's irritating you. Maybe somebody who you know is hurting. Somebody you don't like. Somebody you do. Just open your heart with that they may be filled with loving kindness, that they may be healed, that all beings everywhere may end suffering and be happy. So take another breath. Move your body a little bit. Say thank you to your mind for stepping aside for a moment. And open your eyes. You're muted.
There we go.
There we are.
I said that was beautiful. It felt like we went everywhere without going anywhere, but going everywhere. And I love the shift and the change that we all go through. There's been decades ago that I was with different groups and meditating together or just playing together, and then it doesn't make it any less or right or wrong. It's just we it relationships change and groups and that connection it changes. And I thought of an orchestra and how each instrument on its own is perfect and beautiful, but then when it comes together and it does jive, then it's like,
Something else is created.
yes,
It's another entity, right? Just like this body is another entity. When you break it down, I mean, there's absolutely nothing here that makes this body that is this body.
right,
I mean, there's nothing that makes up a tree that's actually a tree.
right.
It's, I mean, just take 2 seconds and look around, and you'll be on your knees going, my God, this is just, I'm going to hyperventilate. It's just too much. It's just too
Right.
much when you stop to look at it. And then and appreciate that we're one with this. This isn't, there's not us in this whole thing, right?
Right.
In fact, if you take all this apart, you won't find you in there anywhere, which,
Ah,
which is right. I mean, where are you, right? Take it all apart, and where's Lisa?
right. Aw. That actually helps with something that we won't talk about too much, but attachment, and that get attached to being what it is. And that brings it right back to full circle, that when we do come together, it's not it's not to make it better or bigger. It is to connect to,
It's to connect, and the connection makes something bigger.
right. And it's to be present with a connection.
Yeah, and wholeheartedly, as much as we possibly can, as much as we can bring to it, because the more each piece part brings its whole being to it, the more grand and wondrous the thing. Every cell is doing its job 100% perfectly, and it's totally in, right? It's not holding back. The lungs aren't holding back air, going, no, I want more air.
It's why not today?
Yeah, I'm off today. Get your own air.
Now, what would be the difference between the words, connection, connectivity, and uniting to coherence? Like when some,
Well, coherence is simply the state of harmonious functioning. That's what it is. Things are coherent. Like somebody makes a coherent statement, right? It means it's internally consistent. It's clear. It's functioning in its optimal way. So you don't have one thing fighting another, right? That's the incoherence. And so coherence is a beautiful word for a state of being inwardly reconciled, right? Where you're no longer angry at a part of you.
yeah,
That, oh yeah, well, this is me too. I mean, the whole meaning of the Buddha's life is somebody who simply wandered through accepting humanity just as it was. And that's the miracle of it. It embraces humanity, and so doing transcends it. You get to a place that is beyond merely being human, and it's divine, but it's not a divine out there. It's a recognition that this is divine. This is it,
yeah.
and that space inside of you. And the moment you see that, you're a Buddha, even if it's for a split second. The split second Buddha.
That's,
That'll
I
be
like
my
that.
next book, The Split Second
You know what?
Buddha.
I love that. and and the word recognize, that's a beautiful one. When we see something, we recognize it. There's a recognition, and that is the split second Buddha. That
That's the Buddha.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that is. What is it that makes us see something and say that's beautiful? How do we know?
right. Actually, yes.
How do you know? I
Oh,
don't know. I just know.
is it? Do we actually know because we are synced up with it? Then,
Well, yes. I mean, if that experience of, it's springtime here, right? And I was walking through the woods the other day, and there's some flowers, these purple flowers, right? And, a week ago, there was nothing there yet. And all of a sudden, boom, these wildflowers started appearing. It just catches you for a moment, right? And in that moment, before the mind kicks in and wants to identify it or take a picture to send to somebody, you're gone. The flower, there's just a union there that is just pure connection. You can't even call it a connection anymore because there's not two there anymore.
Right. Right. Yes. And that's coherence.
And
Oh,
that's coherence. Yeah.
ha. Okay. Yes. I think that came to my very first question. What's the connection to something? Because there's no longer a connection, because that implies a separation prior
Yeah.
to. So, okay. Bingo. Did you guys
Yeah.
get that? Oh my goodness. Just to say hello there to Ava and Fernanda. Yes. And Mimi. I hope I'm saying all these. And GP, we have a lovely a compliment here. I'm in love with your voice, GP. So much love there. I'm so glad I found you. Oh, it's beautiful.
Thank
That
you,
is what
Fernanda.
we're happy to be here. So I have just a small invitation for everybody, and it's not quite last minute. We still have time, but in being here with GP, we are able to share with you guys how you can have a little bit more of GP's voice and share some more time with us. And we are running a workshop this Thursday on coherence, actually. So the coherence process, and it's, you know what, it's something similar to like what I get to do. I bring something, question, thought, challenge, conflict, and we, during a group setting, we get to interact with GP and the whole group themselves, all together, supporting, just like all sharing, and go through this. So we would love to share this process with you, and that will be this Thursday. It's coming up 1 p.m. Eastern time, but 2 hours in length, and we're doing this for $97 US dollars to come onto that. So it's gpwalsh.com/TCP both. And that TCP stands for the coherence process. It helps you remember that.
It is a process, when you start doing inner work, we run into resistance. When you sit down to really sincerely meditate, you see exactly how noisy your mind actually is. You go, it's like, well, what do I do? Well, there's a process, right? There's kind of a gradual awakening. And there are different kinds of processes that people have, some that I've designed to help get you to a place of coherence where there isn't that kind of inner argument. There is a stability, right, that can be gotten and regotten. It's not like you're going to get it once and you're done, any more than you're going to, go work out at the gym once and you're done. But in every single workout, you can feel the effect, right, and you build momentum to the point where it becomes easier and easier, becomes much more natural, second nature. So that's what processes are about. And I found that a lot of people, especially people who want to make some kind of impact in their life, make some big change, there's all sorts of places you run into roadblocks where it just doesn't happen. And it appears as though those roadblocks are outside of you, but they're not. They're actually in here. And that they only manifest out there. They're actually within you. So to bring coherence inwardly is to bring progress and growth outwardly. It's inevitable.
Yes, and just to share that when we do hit those roadblocks that are internal, there sometimes can be scary, or like we don't want to, and that's why it's helpful to do it with either a teacher or in a group. And so that's why I love
absolutely. You're going to run into various kinds of resistance, distraction, fear, anxiety. I mean,
uncomfortability,
discomfort, and a confrontation with think habits you have that are not doing you any good, right? And we don't want to let go of. There's all sorts of stuff, and if you get into the process rather than always thinking about trying to get somewhere. If you're always trying to think about get somewhere, the process will always be difficult. But if you get into the process itself and it's one little step at a time, the whole journey becomes fun. Right? And then and when fun is Here, you get to make bigger fun, right? You don't get fun as the reward at the end when you're miserable.
Oh,
It's got to be, oh, little steps. Each one is happiness and fun.
that's a whole new way of looking at that. I love that. And funny analogy to share with people. I was thinking about some of my clients who I get them to eat sauerkraut, and the first bite to many is not the most pleasant, and it's a process because they just can't, once they take that bite in, it doesn't repopulate the whole gut immediately. We've got to do it as a process, and there are some uncomfortable points around that whole process that they need some assistance with.
Yeah, sauerkraut. Yeah, I can do kimchi, and but sauerkraut. Ew.
Love it. Yes, and see,
I
and
know.
everybody's going to have these different, roadblocks that show up. So we
Yep.
would love to have you there, and we're always just so happy to see you guys at the first Monday of every month. So we shall return for that. And thank you so much, EWN, for having us here for on a meditation a day. And thank you, GP. That was just lovely. And thank you for always being available on the spur of the theme.
Yep.
We'll see everybody
You keep
soon.
trying to trip me up.
Yes, I know. Trying to. Stumpers. All right, everybody. Enjoy your Monday. The rest of it, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye, GP.
Bye bye.